We are in the bottom land of the Amur River. And when people found a nest of two rare species of cranes here, Dorian and Japanese, this territory was included in the Khingan Reserve. Well, in fact, the crane glorified the reserve. It's not so easy to get to the remotest part of the Khingan Nature Reserve. First of all, you need to overcome deep rivers and marshy swamps. Although the swamp is not deep, so if you fail, you won't drown. But all the same, it is not pleasant enough to keep going, drowning like a rat. This grassy trampoline, called a floating bog, it is very pleasant to walk on. So it's pliable. Well, it's good for the crane. Its weight is from 5 to 7 kilos, and I really shine to say how much my weight is. A few more kilometers of the road, and then it goes along the overgrown lake. There are many lakes here, but all of them sooner or later are silted up and turn into swamps. Here in the reserve, people gloomily joke that the lotus is a gravedigger of lakes. As soon as the lotuses appear, the lake begins to turn into a swamp, and then it dies. Here, the Komarov's lotus grows. Botanists are still arguing. Are the lotus of the Caspian, which you can see in the south of Russia, and its tropical nuciferous fellow, the same or a different species? But geneticists have come out with a verdict that Komarov's lotus from the Far East is an independent type. The rain is continuing and we still have to get to the boats, and then paddle with oars across the water. Oh, now water is not only below, but above. Where's my raincoat? Ha! And why do I need a raincoat when there are so many luxurious umbrellas around? Sir Lotuses, let me use your service. Oh, much better now. The rain had finally stopped by morning, and we went to the crane daddy, Nicholas. The chicks follow him literally, like after their head. In the presence of their tutor, they got to know us better. The cranes are already large, almost like adult birds. But the reddish-beige juvenile coloring will finally disappear in 2 years. Then there will be absolutely different colors. Dazzling white, silvery gray, with black and bright red caps on the heads. Nikolai, I have a question which arises immediately. Here, basically, there are two types of crane, Dorian and Japanese. And Japanese? Yes, both rare. They have the status. Yes. An international red book, yes. What's the idea? How do we multiply their crane tribe? We release them. What is the technology like? Well, we take the eggs from the zoos, incubate them, let them grow here, under our control. There are several methods of cultivation, and then we release them into nature, thereby replenish the local population. All this looks so simple. We take eggs from zoos, we incubate, grow, release in nature. Do it yourself, right? Yes, well, there, of course, a lot of nuances, of all kinds. Do you take eggs from different zoos? Sure. So all these are different. From Moscow, Czech Republic, Moscow, and soon, I hope, France will come back again. So yeah, all eggs from different zoos. Then you need to feed the crane. This is also not so easy. Well, there are, of course, its own differences. Sometimes when the chicks are small, we watched, counted. We went into the cordon up to 18 hours. We were always just around them. While the latter fed, the first one wants to eat again, and the same circle all days. But when a bird is released, can it return? recognize you, come to see you. Well, right, they're like people. Cranes have different characters, different habits. Some of them can come, some not. But as a rule, in 6 months, they will not recognize us. In general, the goal of the station was to go back to the origins, to create a half-wild population. The idea of the program is clear and simple. Local populations of cranes are dwindling. That's why they are replenished at the expense of the youth grown at the reintroduction station of the Khingan Reserve. The cranes that grow up fly away together with the wild ones during the winter. Then they return and live further their own free life, nesting in the surrounding swamps. Now, after more than 20 years, I've been working here. Not every year, but our birds come with wild birds from time to time. Yeah, they intersect, meaning they become friends. And you can see the situation when a wild crane is afraid of us, but looks at ours and keeps a distance of 50 meters. And ours looks at the wild and is also afraid to approach closer than 15 meters. In fact, such negotiations were our main goal. Not only young Japanese and Dardian cranes live on the cordon. A well-groomed and affable cat walks between the crane's long legs, and the growing chick of a great crested grebe, Chomka, constantly flops around the shore. It is completely tame and very funny. A month ago, it was released from a net and brought to the reserve by fishermen. There are omnipresent ground squirrels always on the prowl in the thick grass at the dock. In the mornings, we often leave them some gifts on the boards: nuts, pieces of cookies, and 2 dazzling white swans, trumpeters, swim on the mirror-smooth surface of the water. They are also former inhabitants of the reserve. Birds are not afraid of people, but they keep their distance. The swans are called trumpeters for a stentorian voice, in the time that another swan, well known as a mute, is deprived by vocal talents and can only hiss. The fact is that the swan needs not only a place for nesting. During the summer, he sheds his feathers. At this time, it becomes defenseless and flies badly. Therefore, the swan needs places with thick reeds, where he can sit tight and hide from predators, until new feathers grow, of course. Yes, but not every predator will twitch on it. Well, that's another question. He has a bone in his wing, which is special. It can hit an enemy from 90 degrees. So the swan is a master of fist fighting, or rather, winged fighting, right? The yellow-eyed goshawk that met us on the first day in the cordon came to visit us very often and for a long time sat on a birch branch. Curious cranes always tried to reach him with their long noses. Easy, 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 man. Don't even think about it. Do not even think. Let's live in peace, guys. And if I were you, I'd fly away from here anyhow. It is a young, brainless goshawk. When he grows up, he changes several times, and he will be colored completely differently. And on his chest, most likely, it will have a clear vest. And another interesting point. This hawk's croc can sit on the branch for days. Well, put yourself in its place. Imagine if I was sitting so long there, my hands probably would be dead. But in a bird's case, the fixator works. As soon as he sits on a branch, the clasp is triggered. A click. The desired joint enters the desired groove, and then it does not make any effort to sit on this birch. The bird can sleep peacefully, and then as soon as the bird starts to take off, the clasp cleaves, and the talons regain their mobility again. Short autumn days run quickly, but the cranes do not hurry to get up in the air. Every morning, going with Nikolai for fish, we hope that when we return, we will not find them on the dock, on the shore, but they do not even try to follow their father on the wings. They patiently wait for him on the bridge. Chumik, are you going swimming with us? Yeah? Wait for it. It's afraid for now. Toadstools, as they also call great crested grebes, Unlike swans and ducks, eat only fish. Chomka has already grown up. He dives and hunts for himself very well. But every time he is fishing, he constantly floats around the boat. We even took pictures of how deftly quickly he is operating under the water. Pay attention to its very flexible legs. They shift on the back of the body. Besides, there are no membranes on its feet. They are replaced by horny plastines on its toes. Such a construction provides the grebe great maneuverability underwater. Oh yes, I see. Now let's go a little bit to that. Yeah, well, here they are. Ah, here we go. Here she is. Do we have some with us? A little bit of them. Opa! Now we have something for the cranes for breakfast, right? Yes, now we have crustaceans. This year, the water level in the lake has risen a lot, so there is not enough fish. In order to feed the growing feathered birds, we have to go around to all the traps several hours a day. Chomich. Freshly caught, delicious. So, where do we have the second one? We'll take it from the dock right now. Come on. And there's another one floating around here, right? Yes, one more. Choma constantly gets in our way. An impatient chick knows that it will receive its part sooner or later. We'll cut him one crucian now. Be patient. What is it? You want to eat so bad? Jomich. Can I throw it back? Yes, this should be put down slowly. Often, along with the fish, you can get water beetles and snails. Cranes eat these delicacies with pleasure, but sometimes the traps are empty. This is because of the swans who steal bread bait from the traps, using their long necks into the water once again. Guys, we brought you fish. Great, delicious fish. Where's our great crane things? Just look at that, what a fish. Guys, look, what a fish. Hey, aren't you interested in the fish we just caught? Look. You could choke on it. It swam away. Well, you should expect it. Greed, do you see what it can bring you? It has such a fate. Where did you leave it? Where did you throw it? Here? Scarecrow. One more. Stop. That's enough. We'll cut it. You'll get it. You'll have your lunch at dinner then. Every time after we feed the cranes, we go to feed the aviary birds. Here there are birds who can no longer live in freedom. One bird has a broken beak. Another has a badly grown wing. There are some reproductive couples among them who regularly carry eggs. Their chicks become free birds. In a separate enclosure lives the far eastern stork. It cannot be released either. Did you notice that the stork is not quite ordinary, right? Our storks have a bright red beak, and they're all smaller. And this one is dark. This is a stork from the Far East. Yes, the stork is Far Eastern. Well, so what? Let's go, let him eat. That is it. We won't bother you anymore. Now, let's go and feed those ones. So that is how day after day passed. The trumpets of the flying cranes could be heard increasingly from the swamp. And our young cranes responded in kind, but soared unexpectedly. All of them raised into the air at once. The Japanese and Dorian cranes carried their first flight around the island wing to wing. Everything happened just like on a daily basis. Calmly, confidently, and I would say naturally. After a wide circle, the birds landed near the house of their crane dad one by one. Well, thank goodness it happened. We finally waited for this moment. Our cranes confidently took wing, completed their first flight in life. Well, and now we can fly away with a calm soul too. Now the cranes are flying with pleasure every day. Sometimes they even slept with the passing savages, but returned to the cordon again and again. Nikolai watched them sadly. He knew that one day they would leave their house and fly away for a long time. Of course, some will never return at all. But every year, the population of the wild Far Eastern cranes of the Khingan Reserve, where almost 150 birds have already been released, is gradually increasing and growing stronger. Here are numbers. Well, figures are changing constantly, but at least as far as I know, even without numbers, here in the 20 years of my career, I can say that the amount of birds has increasingly gone up. But still, somehow, I want my grandchildren and great-grandchildren to see this beauty. We do not know which of these cranes will return to the Far Eastern homeland, which of them, and when they form couples, where they will nest, and how many chicks they will brood. But we know for sure that today there are not more than 5,000 Dorian cranes left on Earth, and the world population of Japanese, according to scientists, is about 1,500 birds.